podcasts are free. So whole thing was Purdy over the last year and a half has played better than Joe Burrow. We could move off from that because I get the hype with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow this, Joe Burrow that, but guy hasn't been playing good football, and I don't hear about it. I hear about when Lamar struggles. I hear about when Jalen Hurts struggles. I hear about when Brock Purdy struggles. I don't hear about it when Joe Burrow struggles. Everybody just kind of hides into the bushes. So, anyway.
Isn't that because of the injuries, though? Like, that's mainly the reason.
That's a part of it. I mean, last year it was pretty obvious when he went down. He had the calf injury before the season even started, and then he missed, obviously, what was the final 7 or 8 games. And then this year, I don't know. Like, is he laying it on thick because he's not playing well, or is he legitimately hurt? Like, having your wrist hurt like that does feel like a pretty big injury for a quarterback.
I mean, they opened the season last year at Cleveland, just got their braids beat in. He threw for like 140 yards, right? And I get the calf injury, and he's got to sit in the pocket and just throw the football or whatnot. Joe Burrow was very inconsistent last year, very inconsistent. And they've lost a lot of playmakers. I get it. They were very inconsistent last year. I don't think he was having a great year. Not to the standard that we've set for Joe Burrow. When you sit Joe Burrow up there and you said, hey, this guy is – some people think – and this was a conversation last season. It was. I saw it on national shows. Who would you rather have, Burrow or Mahomes? They do the same thing. And a lot of people – there's a lot of former players who say, oh, Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in the league. He's the best quarterback in the league. And I just don't buy it.
How much of that you think is baked in that people give Andy Reid so much credit?
I don't know. The goalposts change so much on who we give credit to. Like, now we're not giving Zach Taylor credit for Joe Burrow and the playmakers or whatnot. Zach Taylor's running. I think Zach Taylor's a hell of a coach. Hell of a coach. So I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Well, okay, like, you thinking he's a good coach and him getting a lot of love, like, league-wide, are two different things, right? When I hear who's a schematic genius and who's on the rise and this, that, and the other, people don't give Zach Taylor the credit. They do jump to Joe Burrow. So the reason why I say, like, most people's minds he's not a top 10 coach is because they go through, and I know you dismiss Tomlin, but people put Tomlin in there.
Right.
You and I probably agree on that. I don't really know how great Tomlin's been. They haven't won a playoff game in years, right? Like, but then you could also say he hasn't had a great quarterback play in years. So I think when we're doing these mental exercises, a lot of it is how do you perceive someone? And I think when you beat Mahomes in the playoffs, whether Mahomes was hurt or not, or he played poorly in an individual game, like, you're going to get a lot of credit. When you go toe-to-toe with Josh Allen and you beat him, you're going to get a lot of credit. When you go to Kansas City and you lose in the final 2 minutes of a game, you're going to get a lot of credit, right? And I think they've also beaten them during the regular season. And so, like, the legend of Joe Burrow is in part based on him beating Mahomes.
I've seen Justin Herbert's beat Mahomes. Right? Yeah. Justin Herbert's never beat the Chiefs?
I don't know.
You sure? They didn't. What about that game at Arrow? That wasn't Justin Herbert.
He's never beaten him.
Who was the quarterback who was the Charger? It was a Thursday night game.
Phillip Rivers.
Was that Phillip Rivers? Mike Williams scored the game with a touchdown? Damn, Justin Herbert. But it feels to me, so this is where I was going to go with it. It feels like we've just put Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow on this pedestal to where they're top 5 no matter what, unquestioned. I'm starting to question that, especially Justin. You know how I feel about Justin Herbert. Now, we'll see with Jim Harbaugh. I think he'll get the best out of him. But Joe Burrow, and everybody says, well, Brock Purdy has all these weapons. It's not Brock Purdy's fault that he maximizes his weapons. He took this offense to a level that we haven't seen in years in San Francisco. It was the most prolific offense we've seen since probably 89. Like, that's how potent Purdy was in the pocket and how potent he was to get the ball to his playmakers. At times, Cincinnati, they play so inconsistently that do they actually maximize the talent that they have? Like Joe Mixon, for example, goes crazy in his first game for the Houston Texans. And the word come out of Houston is like, well, Cincinnati didn't really use Joe Mixon the way they should have used Joe Mixon. Did they maximize that talent? That's part of the equation with Joe Burrow. Did you maximize Joe Mixon in your run game? Did you maximize Jamar Chase? Have you maximized T. Higgins?
Where's Zach Taylor's influence on that?
Zach Taylor's a good coach, but, quarterbacks got to make consistent decisions, right? Zach Taylor does get a little credit. He does get a little something there, but players play, right? Players play. Is there any question that Mahomes wouldn't be good without Andy Reid?
It would be a little different. I mean, being with Andy Reid, he's amazing. I don't like if I put Patrick Mahomes with, I'm just trying to think of who, Matt Rule, who was in Carolina. Yeah, I think Mahomes would be good. I don't think he'd be as great as he is. I don't. I think he'd be good. Absolutely. I don't think he'd be great. Like if I put Patrick Mahomes right now with Antonio Pierce, yeah, I'm sure this version of Pat Mahomes, I think he'd be really good. But like early versions of Pat Mahomes, I don't think it'd be as close to dynamic as what it is.
Has Lamar beat Joe Burrow before?
I don't know.
He has.
Okay.
So like Jared Goff. They had the wild Monday night game.
Criticisms really bug you.
No, no, it doesn't bug me, but I'm saying we need to be fair with our criticism. We need to be fair. Like, fair is fair. Jared Goff beat Mahomes a couple times, right? The wild Monday night game, last year at Arrowhead Stadium. That stuff doesn't mean anything.
No, I think we're
on any given Sunday, anybody could be beat. And these quarterbacks aren't playing against each other. They're playing against opposing defenses.
But why does everyone scoff at Jared Goff? Because in the playoffs, he kind of shrivels, right? And people don't believe in him in the playoffs. And I think that's the line of demarcation for a lot of these guys. It's where Josh Allen is currently. It's like, hey, Josh, we know you kick butt in the regular season. Can you do anything in the playoffs?
Yeah, he does do something in the playoffs. He doesn't lose those games. He doesn't drop passes. He doesn't miss field goals. He doesn't.
I love Josh Allen.
He doesn't not play defense with us 13 seconds left, and the Chiefs got to get a field goal and get about 30 to 40 yards. That's not Josh Allen's fault. That's why he's like, he beat Josh. Well, Josh Allen didn't drop a pass last year against Kansas City. He didn't drop the 5 passes. He didn't call the fake punt. And Jared Goff, I'm going to defend Jared Goff for a little bit. 4th down throw to Reynolds. Did that hit Reynolds in the chest or what?
Twice, and he dropped the ball.
Twice. But, Joe, we're going to sit here and say, Jared Goff came up short. He made the throws he needed to make. Receivers got to make plays. He helped the Reds get to the Super Bowl when he gets Belichick. Belichick undressed McVay, Jared Goff, and everything, and not having Todd Gurley, it hurts. But it's not so much that the Lamar criticism gets to me. It's let's be fair with our criticism. And what's fair is right now, Joe Burrow hasn't played good quarterback. He hasn't played good quarterback in quite some time. It's been very inconsistent. And the knock is, as we talk about Tua Tagovailoa and these concussions, Joe Burrow gets nicked up quite a bit.
Oh, that's pretty obvious. I mean, he's hurt a lot. There's no doubt about it. He's hurt a lot. I think the Lamar thing is a little different because their whole offense is centered around him. Like everything that they do is so Lamar-centric. And so when he struggles in the playoffs and he doesn't run, which is his number one attribute all year, you're like, what are we doing? Like, why did you play one way all year? And then in the biggest game of the year where you're a home favorite, you play a different way. I don't understand it. And so, yeah, I think he's going to get crushed. I put Lamar in a James Harden zone. Not that everyone can't stand him. It's that he's so dynamic in the regular season.
Chris Paul, baby.
Chris Paul, same thing. But until you do it in the playoffs consistently, a lot of people are always going to be like, yeah, but. Right? Whereas Burrow's kind of like in this, you won a couple of big games. You went on a magical run. You were tied in the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl, and Stafford had a great drive. And so I think he gets elevated because of some of his playoff moments.
I'd be the first to tell you Lamar struggled in that AFC Championship game. He wasn't right. But what happens if Zay Flowers doesn't fumble in the 4th quarter at the goal line to tie the game up? I mean, these things happen. Some things are just out of your control. So it is wild. Like, Lamar's overrated, yet he's winning MVP after MVP. And the quarterback I saw, and all the performances last year, Joe Burrow had a hell of a performance. And then Christmas night happened. I said, oh, my God. Like, Fred Warner, who we love and adore, had no shot against Lamar Jackson in open space.
No, he was amazing.
They had no shot on the RPO game. They had no shot. So, the criticism, I just want to be equal. And right now, I'd say it right here on these airwaves. Call me a homer all you want to. Quarterbacking my football team today, I'd rather have Brock Purdy than Joe Burrow. Quarterbacking my team. Joe Burrow may have the bigger arm. He may have the better talent. He looks like a physical freak, 6'5", 6'6", has a moxie. He has the hair. He has everything. Joe Cool, right? Give me Brock Purdy for what he's doing right now. Brock Purdy's playing mistake-free football. He's getting the ball to his playmakers. He seems like he's calm, cool, and collected. He's got all the commercials in the world now. Right now, I want Brock Purdy quarterback on my team. If I can't have Mahomes and I can't have Josh Allen, and I look at the picking a bunch here, the next 27, next 28, you know what? I'm taking Brock Purdy off my board first.
I think a lot of Niner fans feel that way.
I don't know if a lot of fans feel like that. I don't think a lot of Niner fans feel like that. Now I'm looking at the quarterback session. No one can be Brock. But I just say it's just kind of weird how we choose to delegate our criticism